A while back, I did a video comparing Shrek and the Cat in the Hat, and why the former worked and the latter didn't. In that video, I said this.
Something some of you may not know is that Shrek is based on a 30-page picture book written by the late William Steig. The book is not as famous as the film, and although I've only read the synopsis and not the book itself, I can still say it was turned into a great film.
After the video came out, I contemplated doing a follow-up to that video, which would include reading the Shrek book. Shrek is a great movie, but is it a great adaptation? Well, let's find out. Shrek is a fractured fairy tale story, but it utilises this in a different way to the film. The story is about a sadistic ogre named Shrek, who enjoys causing havoc. His parents decide he must be sent out into the world to do his share of damage, and, literally, kick him out the swamp. Shrek learns of his fortune from a witch, who tells him that by saying the magic words, apple strudel, he will be taken to a castle by a donkey, where he will battle a knight and marry a princess even uglier than him. Along the way, Shrek causes havoc to various creatures he encounters, before meeting the donkey, who takes him to the castle. Shrek confronts and defeats the knight guarding the castle, and meets the princess, with whom he is mutually smitten by their shared ugliness. They marry, and live horribly ever after. Shrek is shown to be content with his terrifying appearance and personality, wanting to have dominance over others, as shown in his nightmare where kids are shown to not be afraid of him. This is also represented when he enters the castle. Although initially frightened by what appears to be an army of hideous creatures, it's merely the Hall of Mirrors, which allows Shrek to maintain his confidence. Shrek embodies a typical fairy tale story, but is told from the perspective of a not-so-typical protagonist. This being a villainous protagonist with a horrific appearance, who is content with this, and able to find true love in spite of his terrifying appearance and persona. Most typical fairy tales see the villain lose, but in this one, the villain wins, showcasing how some villains do indeed get happy endings. And now let's talk about the film. The film plays out the fractured fairy tale approach differently from the book. Due to films being able to have more aspects than just writing and illustrations, and the film being made after the Disney Renaissance ended, Shrek was able to utilise pop songs to serve as a contrast to Disney's musical numbers. Although the Shrek book did have grainy illustrations, the limitations of these illustrations, and the fact that computer animation was early stages at the time, wouldn't have allowed for it to have a 3D art style to contrast with Disney's 2D style. By the time the film came out, computer animation was advanced enough that they could use it to tell a story starring an ogre, donkey and two humans, and the grainy 3D art style was used to contrast with Disney's clean 2D aesthetic. In the book, the characters are much less fleshed out, mainly due to the book only being 30 pages. In the book, Shrek is much more villainous, taking full pride in his intimidating appearance and nature, and having no redeeming qualities. The donkey only appears to take Shrek to the castle, and the princess only appears at the end, and she and Shrek live horribly ever after. Shrek has a nightmare in which kids are not afraid of him, showing how he fears the idea of not being feared, as he would not be able to continue terrorising those who came across him. This may have been the inspiration for the plot point in Shrek Forever After, where he longs for the days where he was feared. The book's short length, and the film's feature length, allowed for the characters in the films to be more fleshed out, with Shrek being capable of being disgusting, and also feared by the villagers. But, rather than relishing in this, it makes him insecure, and prefers to be alone on account of people judging him before they know him. His arc involves him learning to appreciate himself, open up to others about his insecurities, and find genuine connections in his friendship with Donkey and feelings for Fiona. Donkey does help Shrek get to the castle, but also serves as a comic relief, and the one who Shrek opens up to and finds a friend in, which is part of his character arc. And Fiona isn't just there to be Shrek's love interest, nor is she ugly 24/7. She's the human princess who Shrek has been sent by Lord Farquaad, who is not in the original book, to rescue. They don't fall in love at first sight either, but rather through forming a genuine connection. And when Fiona reveals her ogre curse to Shrek, which becomes 24/7, he reassures her that he still finds her beautiful, leading to their marriage, which is attended by their newfound friends. While the book and film take different approaches in reaching their messages, the underlying themes and messages of learning to love yourself, and how you can find love regardless of appearance, are present in both. So with all this said, is Shrek a great adaptation? While Shrek is a great film, I wouldn't necessarily call it a great adaptation, mainly because there's so much artistic license. However, artistic license doesn't equal a bad adaptation. I consider the film a good adaptation on account of understanding the book's message, about being true to yourself and how anyone, regardless of appearance, is capable of finding love. While I do prefer the film by a landslide, I do think the book is good, and I think both stand out in their own ways, while both maintaining a similar message and good executions of that message. A lot of people are not familiar with the original book of Shrek, and if you haven't read it, I'd recommend doing so. Some parents objectify to the book feeling it was unsuitable for children. Now, what could possibly be...